Are we ready to get started? I can't see the room. Just a moment. Are we ready in the room? Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So James, are we ready? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Let me get organized. I apologize for being a bit late. I was attending another meeting. So, welcome to the first meeting of the 43rd session of the Faculty Senate of Texas A&M University. If you are attending the meeting virtually and need a reminder of the Zoom features used in our Senate meetings, the Zoom tip sheet can be found on our website at the top of our current agenda page. At this time, please assure your microphones are muted. For those on Zoom, Secretary Holliday will be monitoring the raise hands function. You will be called upon first before others in the room. She will virtually identify you, then you can unmute your mic and ask your questions. As always, in fairness to others, please limit yourself to one question at a time. No, we like to have our multiple questions, but one is good. Secretary Holliday will also be monitoring the chat to convey messages as necessary, so please send any chat messages directly to her. Most of our visitors today have been asked to view the meeting via our live stream, but our guests and administrators who may be asked to answer questions are joining us in person or via Zoom. Visitors wishing to address the Senate may make this request by sending a chat message to myself or Shelley or James, or by using the raise hand functions. Finally, if a senator wishes to offer a motion during today's meeting, please raise your hand at the appropriate time to be asked to be recognized. What's next on the agenda? Sorry, there's two of us in the same room here, or both on the meeting, and I forgot to pull the agenda up. So just give me one moment.
It is call to order speaker comments.
Okay, so I guess speaker comments are next here. So I apologize for that. So we will have a few guests, but I guess my speaker comments are next. So as you are all probably aware, Senate Bill 37 has passed the Texas House and is now awaiting the governor's signature. As of today, I believe that is still the case. When the final bill is signed, we will share that version with all the senators. I just want to take a few minutes to pause and reflect. So, as you can see on the slide that started before the meeting, the Texas A&M Faculty Senate was founded in 1983. And since our founding, we've been the only representative body of the entire faculty. For over our 42-year history, we have diligently advocated on the behalf of all of our faculty, including as some of the people I'm seeing on this screen through some rather tumultuous periods. Throughout all of this, the faculty and the Faculty Senate has persevered, if not grown stronger. When the Senate was founded, our student enrollment was 36,846, which was big. But since the founding of our Senate, our university has more than doubled in size. Our research funding and profile has increased at even a greater rate. In short, Texas A&M has grown from a regionally focused institution to a truly international AAU university. This is no small feat. And none of these changes would have been possible without the faculty of this university. It's our hard work that has enabled the enrollment growth and the growth in our research profile. And the university's current research reputation relies on our acumen and our effort. So please don't forget the role that you and the Senate have played in the transformation since our founding. And despite the narratives that are occurring around faculty at the national and state level, it is currently demonstrable that our faculty have indeed added immense value to this institution and hence the degrees that our students receive. The Senate has worked continuously to improve the lives of our faculty. Just a few things that we've done over our history to remind people a bit is many times we've worked to help improve the tenure and promotion processes at our university. This body has bared the scars of our efforts to continually codify and recodify the role of faculty and the appointments of deans and department heads. And that's always been an ongoing battle. Most recently, this body was critical in the formation of the Academic Freedom Council and in the creation of the role of the Associate Provost for Faculty Advocacy, who's going to be addressing us today. Maybe the most influential thing that we've done is, while we now use the term academic professional track faculty, aka APT, it's now common parlance at Texas A&M. We tend to forget that we were among the first institutions in the nation to refer to our faculty for what they are and what they are not. We don't no longer refer to them as non-tenure track faculty. And we were one of the first to really codify this and help our faculty there. And the composition of the Senate today, when you look at us, really makes it clear the evidence of the importance of this group of faculty and our importance in elevating them. Now, over the next few months, the Senate, as we have known it for the past 40 years, is going to undergo dramatic changes. And none of us today know what it's going to look like come the fall. And also, as we know, we teach Aggies. We are, in some sense, Aggies. And as we know, change is difficult for Aggies. But we're going to be able to adapt to this change, because the other thing is Aggies persevere. So this body is going to persevere through the changes that are going to be coming. And I also recognize, because I've talked to some people, that there are very diverse opinions among our faculty and faculty senators concerning what the role of the Senate is going to be to represent the voice of the faculty, which as a non-wholly elected body is going to be different than what it is today. But what I'm asking everyone is, I want to encourage everyone to respect the opinions of our colleagues, including those who may choose not to participate in the Senate anymore because of the changes. But respect everybody's opinion, and it has been the tradition of the body for a long time. Let us engage in serious, lively discussions, but in a very civil way. It's what I think we're going to need to do the next few months as we move forward. As Speaker, I will do my best to ensure the Senate's appropriate role on curricular matters continues. And despite the changes in the organizational structure, I'm going to do the best, and the executive committee is going to do the best to try to ensure that our body remains a body that provides our administration unfettered advice, because that's really the best thing we can do, is to provide advice as to what the faculty is thinking. That's a very important role. And I firmly believe that the university makes the best decisions when all appropriate voices are heard. So again, what the fall brings for this Senate is going to remain uncertain, but during the summer, there's a few important items on our agenda, not only for this meeting, but for forthcoming meetings. And for part of that reason, I think we're going to have a meeting in July, because I think there's some things we need to accomplish before the changes happen. I know a lot of people like July off, but I think this year is going to have to be a little bit different. Most importantly, I believe it is important that we should vote on our code of conduct while we remain a fully elected body. I think that Whether it passes or not is another thing, but I think we need to vote on it while we're fully elected because I think that sends a message. We'll talk a little bit about our Senate awards, which we're going to do. There's some important committee work that is ongoing that impacts our students. You're going to see a number of important student rules today on the agenda. And also our academic Aggie Honor Code office is being evaluated, and our senators are serving in some of those meetings that are happening. And just to let everyone know, give everybody a heads up, next week we are going to actually vote on honorary degrees, which is something that this body has not done for a while. And it's certainly not something we've ever done in hybrid mode, I don't believe. So expect some changes and some additional information be given out on how we're going to proceed as we move into executive session next month in a hybrid manner. I just want to conclude these somewhat lengthy speaker comments by saying, please, thank you for all you do, and really know that your service to the university does matter and is appreciated. I know these are tough times for the Senate and the senators, but we're going to persevere and go forward. So that brings us to the end of my speaker comments. We have 2 or 3 guest speakers. I don't know if both Ed and Juan are here. And so the first guest speaker, however, is our new Associate Provost for Faculty Advocacy, Claire Katz, who I think is going to tell us some of the things she's learned as she's been to many parts of our campuses. So Claire, are you ready to go?
Yes. Do you have the PowerPoint? I believe it's coming up. Does that look familiar?
Yes.
Okay.
And can I click something or
We're up here.
is this it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which button? That's just the next. Okay. Okay. So thank you for welcoming me here to give you some updates. I just want to start by saying a lot of what I do is confidential. So I can't share a lot of what I do, but did feel like I had some accountability to the faculty that I wanted to give you some idea of some of the things that I've done over the past, I guess, 8 months and some things I've learned. The first thing I want to say is my fabulous executive assistant, Christy. For those of you who are in Zoom, you can't see her. She's in the back of the room. And so I just wanted to introduce you to her. She's been amazing at keeping my schedule and my calendar. I've done an enormous amount of traveling, and there is absolutely no way that I could have done any of this without Christy helping me out. But I did want to also point to the fact that the office is literally just down this very short hallway from where the Faculty Senate meets. We're in 607 Rudder. I know that we've had a couple of instances of people not seeing this on the email and wandering over to JKW, hoping to find us over there and not finding us. And so I just want to make sure that people know where and how to find us. So that's the contact information for both me and Christy. And then, like I said, we're just down the hall. A couple of things I do want to just remind people of, because this still seems to come up both at the faculty level and at the administrative level. Some things about what the position is and what it is not. And I say this, always sort of tongue in cheek, but I mean this seriously. I am not your lawyer. You do not give me $1 and retain me, and then I defend you at all costs. If you come into the office and start telling me something that you've done that is wrong and a violation of university policy, depending on what it is, I may have to report you. So be really careful about what you are telling me. Same with anything that is not something that's bad that you've done, but something that may have been done to you. I am also not your therapist. I'm happy to sit and listen to anything that you want to tell me, but if you tell me something that is in the realm of my being a mandatory reporter, I have to report it. So the discussions that you have with me are not protected by that realm of confidentiality. So just to be really clear, and Christy and I, over the course of several iterations of meetings, et cetera, and people being a little alarmed at certain things that they told me, not realizing I'd have to report, especially if it falls into a certain kind of retaliation. Not all retaliation is actually in the realm of mandatory reporting, but some of it is. Now, Christy will actually send an email out once you've set up a meeting with us or set up a meeting with me, reminding you of all of these kinds of things. And I will say that we've had people who have been so afraid to schedule a meeting that now our calendar just simply says confidential meeting, and Christy has some kind of cryptic chart that she lets me know who I'm meeting with. So there's actually nothing on the calendar that indicates who I'm actually meeting with that day. So just keeping in mind those kinds of issues with confidentiality. Expectations. I am also not a magician. I would love to be, but I'm not. I cannot solve all of the problems that come into the office or anything, like all the large problems that people have shared with me, as much as I would love to. Most of the things that I've been able to work with to try to resolve tend to be things that are process oriented, some kind of violation of process. So a new department head didn't know about a process for P&T or annual review, and I've worked really closely with Heather Lynch on how to try to help somebody resolve that particular issue. A climate issue, if it starts to affect more than one or two people, those kinds of issues are the kinds of things. But we're trying to be really careful to respect the boundaries of departments and colleges, at the same time balancing the needs that we know are there for faculty. So just to try to help you understand that I would love to solve all the problems, but I can't. So traveling. So this semester, in addition to my own professional travel for research, just to give you some idea of where I went, the two white dots are actually where I didn't go. I did not go to Temple. I did not go to Corpus Christi. And I also didn't go to Houston. I should have mentioned that to Paul when he made the slide for me. So everywhere else is where I've actually gone to visit with the faculty. So in addition to visiting with faculty on campus, on BCS campus, I've also made these trips. The one place I didn't go is Kingsville because there were some scheduling issues at their end. And so that is now scheduled for August for me to go down there. But I've been to the law school, the dental school, down to McAllen, to Round Rock, Galveston, to Qatar, and then same with DC. I didn't go out to DC, but did meet with some faculty who are located there. Many of the faculty in the DC campus or DC location are actually just rotating through. We only have a handful who are actually located there on a more permanent basis. But just to give you some idea, and I actually had been to some of these places before, but I highly recommend for faculty, if you have some time, to make the trip and visit some of your colleagues who are out at these locations. They're doing amazing work. They also, in many cases, feel very isolated. And any kind of attempt that you can make to visit with them, to see where they are, to see what they're doing, to see what their physical spaces are like, I know that they would really appreciate that. Some things that I focused on, this was when I met with the provost at the very beginning of the year last fall. We decided that just getting to know the faculty in these different locations on the college campus, the colleges here, and then also remotely would be something that would occupy a lot of my time, which it did. It was great to do it, but it did take up an enormous amount of time scheduling all of the different visits with the campuses, with the colleges here, and then also the remote locations. And then merged in the middle of all that were individual meetings that I had with faculty, and I probably averaged, I don't know if Christy can correct me, about 2 a day. It was pretty busy in our office. And then general, just in terms of the committee work that I do just through the position with VPFA, I've been doing reviewing the faculty evaluation guidelines and then participating on certain committees, the survey committee, there's a community engagement committee, and then also the campus community support team. So some of the general observations, and I had to be really careful about what I put here so that I don't violate any confidentiality of anything that anybody has told me. This is mostly from the college visit. So these were things that would have been said in a more sort of general forum where other people were there to hear them. There's lots of community, as you can imagine, as Andrew was talking about, the size of the campus has doubled, right? We have more than 70,000 students. We have more than 4,000 faculty. We have colleges that are quite large. Communication is an issue, and that shouldn't surprise us, right? I mean, any institution where you're going to have something that large, you're going to have uneven communication. So trying to think about how to help department heads and deans think about how to communicate not so much more effectively, but help faculty to read their emails, because not everybody does that. Where to put information so that faculty can go find it if they missed the email that came out, or somebody was ill, the department head was on vacation when that email came out and it didn't get sent. How to be able to get the information that was sent out. Understanding how Texas A&M works. So one of the things I did notice, and this was at a whole variety of colleges, that a lot of people just don't know how A&M works. They don't know how budgets work. They don't know what their department head does. They don't know what a dean does. They don't know all kinds of how hiring works. And it's in some sense by design. The way that A&M is set up is very department head centric, very college centric. And the faculty are supposed to be freed to do the work that they do, which is great if everything is functioning smoothly. It's not great when something breaks down and people don't know how to help somebody who actually needs the help. The other thing that somebody told me that I thought was interesting was that they didn't know if they wanted to go into administration because they didn't know what the administrators do. And so one of the things I did notice was that a lot of the problems, and certainly communication issues or disagreements that happen, seem to happen because people have misinformation. They don't know how something works on campus. The workload for tenure track and APT, and by that I don't mean compliance issues. What I mean is, like, for example, expectations. When we say APT, as Andrew said, one of the things I noticed was that people think all of the APT titles are the same. They are not the same. A clinical faculty member has different expectations from an instructional faculty member. And so trying to think about how to help people understand those differences. And same with tenure track. What does it mean to be on the tenure track? Lots of extramural concerns. I started making these visits in October. You can imagine how the conversation started to change from October to November to December to January, as things started to change, both at the federal level and the state level. And then support for and by faculty administrators. So I will talk with anyone. I will try to help anyone who is in a faculty position, and that includes faculty administrators. I've had several department heads, for example, come to me with concerns that they had about how to do things differently in their department, how to work differently with various faculty members, et cetera. So one of the things that came up was something related to that. And so I've been working with Heather Wilkinson and talking about department head. Not so much training, because she does a fabulous job with things like the Department Head Development Series, but getting into the weeds of certain kinds of issues. What are the kinds of things that we can do to bring back to the Faculty Affairs Office? Okay, so ongoing, the normal things that I've been doing, so doing campus and college visits as needed, meetings with some of the individual faculty, and then the committee participation, and then trying to add to that. Some of these are things that I wanted to do before I actually started the position, and then all kinds of other things happened, and learning more about the university and the faculty seemed to make more sense. But developing a faculty workload committee that will comprise both APT faculty and tenure line faculty, even if they need at various times to meet separately. One of the other things I noticed was that there are lots of misunderstandings about what each of these large groups does. Right. So what do APT faculty do, and how does that enable tenure line faculty to do what they do? Right. What do tenure line faculty do? What counts as research for them? And how is that different from what the expectations might be for an APT person? But thinking about how to help, especially APT faculty, communicate when there are expectation issues going on in their departments or college. One of the things, like I said, that seems to happen because the APT title seems less defined, and I say seems less defined, the expectations seem to vary. And it's almost like throwing stuff at the wall, that sometimes it seems like department heads just keep throwing stuff at APT faculty to see what will stick until someone says, hey, I don't have any more room in my schedule to do this. And so trying to help APT faculty and administrators understand the relationship between these things. And then working with, in particular with Heather Wilkinson to develop modules. And I think it's also Cindy, the staff person who works with Heather, looking at how we can do things both in person and also as modules to help faculty understand more about how Texas A&M works. So what are the kinds of things that would be helpful for a faculty member to know that they don't yet know, and can empower them so that they can become better advocates for themselves. So that's, sort of like in a nutshell, the kinds of things that I started thinking about based on the visits that I had with both the remote campuses and the colleges on the campus. Any questions?
I don't see it online, Claire.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
thanks.
And-
And thanks for the opportunity to serve in this position. It's been a huge learning experience and really eye-opening in a lot of ways. And I do want to also thank the Faculty Affairs Office, and especially Michael Johnson, since he's sitting here and he's rotating out of here, and Blanca, who's coming in. But it's as you know, it's a brand new position for the university, and both defined and undefined in a lot of ways. And so having the support of Faculty Affairs has been just really tremendous. So I'm very appreciative. So thanks. You know where to find me now.
So next up is, I see at least Juan Garza is here, and is Ed here as well? Or is Juan going to be handling it all, it appears?
I will take care of it. So, hello. Like Dr. Klein said, my name is Juan Garza. I serve as an Associate Vice President for Enterprise Application Services and Technology Services. That means that major systems I'm responsible for. Joining me here is Mr. Stephen Ragusa and Kyle Page. They handle the student services and then large enterprise systems as a whole, meaning Canvas, Zoom, student system, Howdy, and so on. They're in the back. They're available if you got questions for them. I'll even give you their email addresses so you can talk to them. I'm not kidding. Next slide, please. So I've been asked to come talk about Howdy, new Howdy, what's going on. So let's see if we can set the level discussion of what that means. Howdy is not one thing. Howdy is three things. And we'll try to discuss what that means. So the new Howdy portal is an overlay that basically sits on top of our student information system. That is an overlay that you can connect different things to be able to move forward. We have the ability to customize and change. We have self-service banner. That's built into the solution from Ellucian Banner, which is our student system. It's essentially our ERP solution. It's built on Banner 8, and it's moving. And I'll explain how all this ties together. Then finally, we have Ellucian Banner. That's our ERP system that has students, financial aid, admissions, bursar's office, receivables, all that information. That system is constantly changing. We get at least 4 patches a year that we have to apply every year continuously. Make modifications and changes that comes from either federal regulatory requirements or statutory requirements that the student needs to be able to be put in order for us to do this. One of the big ones is financial aid. Every year, anything, we have to put it in the fall, in the spring, to be ready for the following fall to be able to award students to the tune of $900 million that we process in financial aid. And then it runs everything on the back end on an Oracle database. It is my team and our responsibility then to manage this whole suite of solutions. I tried to basically provide an overview of what that means. So new Howdy, old Howdy, self-service. And this has caused some concern and some issue because somebody tells us Howdy's broken and we're thinking the top one. Somebody says, well, you may be meaning class roster. It may actually be the student side on the back end. And if you've ever spoken to any of the 5 offices that we call, they have something we call banner speak. Sagaston. Nobody knows what that is. It's essentially a screen and banner that basically talks about the student record. But that's the terminology that they use from a jargon standpoint moving forward. Next slide, please. So the discussion of why did we move away from Howdy, and I have a timeline, but I'm going to give you guys an overview. In late 2002, student government basically came to us and said, what you have in the Howdy system is too much. It's cluttered. It's junky. I can't find anything. And the truth of the matter is we had not updated that solution. We'd maintained it and modified it since it went live in 2007. So it was time to reskin the solution and to be able to move forward. So what we created based on regular governance group, we have an executive committee, a steering committee, and an operational committee to run the student system, because we have to keep all these things in line going forward. We broke a working group to basically provide input and insight on how this new solution should look. And I'll explain why it took this long. We had a lot of students, both masters and undergraduates, to provide us feedback from a design standpoint. We asked faculty to basically come in and provide us feedback on information. We had 3 individuals that were either volunteered or voluntold, but they basically were part of the process. Because remember, we're trying to solve a solution that's both for students, staff, and faculty as a mechanism to basically showcase what they want. Next slide. And this is just an overview of the timeline. So we met with the executive committee to basically, so we can move forward with this modification and change of the system going forward. It was over a 2-year project. Part of the discussion was we had to have conversation at the time with marketing, because anything from a viewpoint standpoint had to have a look and feel that they approved at that time. So we had a discussion with them. And then we went through the process and there was internal discussion with the group. The working group basically worked for 4.5 months to gather information of what they did like and what they did not like of the existing Howdy solution. The terms that we got was it's cluttered, it's clumsy, you just got a tab with everything on top of it, you got links to stuff for news that I don't care about. And then they came back from a design standpoint and essentially they built that solution. And I'll be honest, the first time I saw it, I'm like, you guys built an iPhone. You're laughing because that's what it looks like. But that's what the decision was made. So we went through a terminology called cards. So you have cards built in, but there's a technical stack on the back end. And then if you see here that we met with a lot of different groups across campus. And I'm gonna be very frank, I went through this list, part of the presentation setup, and I did miss something. And you guys are missing it too, or seeing it right off the bat. There's not a faculty group that we spoke to. There were groups for department heads. There were groups from an internal aspect, but we missed the boat. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's the truth. The data speaks for itself. Next slide, please. So year 2, continue. We met with student affairs. We talked to the operational offices of what we need to do and how to use that card-based approach going forward. And if you guys want, and we have time, I'm going to put Stephen on the spot in a minute. We talked to the Banner Executive Committee, demonstrated the look and feel to that committee, and they said, go ahead for a launch for the beta version for May 24. The reason we did that is it was going to be such a fundamental shift in the look and feel to the university, the 4,000 faculty, the 10,000 staff, and the 70,000 students. We knew it was going to be an issue because we hadn't changed the system in 15 years. We made little tweaks and modifications, but this was a wholesale look and reskidding so it can look different. We put feedback out there and asked for feedback. There was 19 changes that came back, and it's still out there. There's a little feedback thing at the bottom of the thing. So Stephen and his group are basically listening to it. If you got changes or modifications, we'll gladly make them because the new technical infrastructure will allow us to do that. We started sending out messaging this March, and we're going live, and then we finally basically cut it over to the 17th. What does that mean? Live means that we replace the existing Howdy page. Now you have something we call Connect and Howdy internally, if you've logged into it. Old Howdy will not go away, technically, for faculty until December. And that's driven in some respects because of the banner issues that we have to basically move forward. But more importantly, we knew there's a lot of faculty not here on campus this summer. Cutting it over in May without giving the opportunity for people to get used to it through the summer and in the fall will be problematic. And those are discussions we had with the executive committee. How do we do this in transition? Because there's never a good time to basically make a change at this scale. It really isn't. So it'll be available through then and available, but we're asking for feedback going forward. Some of the things that makes it hard for, can we go back? We actually modified the technical infrastructure on the back end to be able to move to this modern approach. So I'd like to say it's difficult, but it's almost impossible to do so. Because when we shut it down, we got to move forward. Next slide. That's Howdy. Let's have a conversation where the confusion has occurred. And this one is, in some respects, the class roster. The class roster is the thing that you guys work on every day and look in there when you log into Howdy for the most part. Looking for your students, your information. We actually went forward so the class roster is part of my modification because Banner Self-Service 8 is going away December of 25. Vendor says they're no longer supporting. We need to move to a new technology. They call it Banner 9. It has a different set of tool sets. We met with the department heads and discussed it. I was talking to Claire earlier to give them an overview of what the changes were and see what they're, and in the conversation and just dialogue with them, they actually gave us feedback and there was an interesting discussion amongst the groups of what they wanted to feel, look and change. So we made that change, but it's been live technically since April of 24. We've had it in there for a year. We even have a link on there when you logged in that it's basically you can go to the old one and move to the new one if you need to. We also asked for feedback, and we have 4 enhancements that came off of that change, and I'll show you a couple of those that we have. But those are 4 modifications that we made based on feedback from individuals that said, hey, this isn't working, we need to make modifications. That's only presented to say, we can make changes and continue to evolve the solution based on feedback from the faculty. Because this is your system, if you will, for the most part, using it from a class roster. And one of the things that we did in the bottom is we made a change to make sure that midterm grades and degree candidates were available from the look and feel. We also made sure that it was easier just to submit grading. Those are 4 of the big ones, enhancements that we did. Next slide. That was in 24. In 25, we made 5 additional enhancements. I'm not going to read those all to you. This will be available for you. And we've continued to make changes, and we have additional changes based on feedback. We want participation from the faculty and the users to tell us what are the changes that make sense for you as a whole to enhance the system. Because in some respects, it's your system. We can come up from a design aspect to it, and you can challenge Stephen and his group. I welcome it, so that we move forward. Next slide. This is basically what the old looked like. We tried to keep the same look and feel on the top end. It looks exactly the same. The only difference is if you see that maroon down there, that's filterable. It works almost like an Excel spreadsheet. Those little solutions there, you click on one of them, you can create filters for each one of them. But we try to keep the exact same look and feel. The other one was just plain old HTML that was built with PL SQL. We're using different libraries to basically provide easier granular approaches for individuals. That's the roster section of it. Go to the next one. And then the class roster itself, same thing. We try to keep everything that existed before and then provide other additional information. Anything from attendee certifications, final girl changes, and that other information move forward. But we're using Google tool sets to be able to allow to make enhancements and changes as we need it. Next slide. So the question I ask for you and of you is how can we improve our interactions with the faculty as a whole? We have committees, whether they're operational, we have working groups, so that we understand what the needs of the faculty are as we build these solutions moving forward. What are your preferred feedback mechanisms? How do you want us to interact with you? Because we had forms built, we have email groups, we have meetings with individual groups. Our teams basically, and we created 7 campaigns, 5 for faculty. We did 6 presentations to 11 groups, 66 presentations over that 2-year period. And then we had 1 year of public beta available. Where can we learn and where can we grow together so we can move forward as we make some of these changes? Is the ask that we have. Because we may have missed the boat completely on certain things and done certain things wrong. How can we improve that going forward? That's all I had. But thank you. And I want to thank you for inviting me. It's been a while since I've been here. Like Roa basically mentioned it. And we'll be available if needed, if there's other presentations going forward.
Thank you, Juan. I suspect there are going to be some questions and comments. And I think the first one I see in the chat or in hands raised is Dr. McGill.
Yes, I'm wondering a couple of things. One, it was a lot easier to figure out what semester you were dealing with in the old one than it is with the new one. You have to type it in and so forth. And also, why is it still showing last fall as the summer or as the thing instead of the current semester, when maybe it has it today, but up until now, you open it up and it's on the fall semester rather than the summer semester. That just doesn't seem logical to me.
Mr. Stephen Ragusa is going to come up and he leads the team to help answer that question. You can do it right there.
Okay. As far as the drop down of the term code, there's multiple ways of doing it. The control that's in there now, some people like it, some people do not. How do we make that decision as to, do we go back? Who are we going to make mad if we change it from one way to the other? That's kind of where we're at with term codes. We're able to change it.
It should at least be a drop down menu that you don't have to type in something, because that's ridiculous.
Okay. All right, we can do it. Okay, and what was the other one? The last semester is showing. That's on your courses. So on the list of your courses that you teach,
Yeah.
you're
It
saying
was until I haven't used it the last day or two, but when I would go in, it'd still be on the fall, or I mean the spring semester. So I'd have to change that semester. And without a drop down, then you have to type it in.
And he's absolutely right. You have to type it in to change, just to look at this summer. So, yep.
So one person, please ask the questions at a time. It's Senator McGill.
Sorry, Clint. I was just trying to support you.
And I'm done, so.
So I believe former Speaker Price is at the mic next.
Price, College of Engineering. So I think the biggest issue to start with is that the committee was majority students.
Correct.
Rather than majority faculty, because we're the ones who have to continue to use this for the rest of our lives. And I'm not saying the students shouldn't be involved, they should be, but they have one perspective. We're the ones who have to use this for our day-to-day business. And then not getting the faculty, sufficient faculty, like you said, the committees and things like that. I mean, that's problematic. I have 3 different roles that I get into. So I have figured out how to heart my favorite things.
Sure.
So they show up at the top. Then I had to spend time rearranging them in some kind of logistical order. But I can't put them into different roles. So I can't click faculty and have certain things there. I can't click staff. Or the employer. I can't click the faculty. So it's just this big buffet of stuff that I can't organize in any kind of logical fashion or divide it up that way. So it's really hard to find things, particularly when, I'm sorry, but I had muscle memory, so I knew where to go click on the screen and howdy, and now it's just this big hodgepodge, like a buffet with no organization. And the cards are very wasteful in space, even when you put it on your cell phone. So there's a lot of the iPhone isn't even as efficient as an iPhone because the big icons are the descriptors that are there. But then when you look at the actual class rosters, and I had mentioned this before, they were very wide. So a lot of white space for a column that just need to have a Y in it. The other thing is that we've lost the same functionality that we had with the image roster, because now it's a little bitty kind of picture that shows up. Then unless you really kind try to blow it up on your screen, you can't use it. And it was very beneficial for that to go to a separate page with the images that we could make bigger, because faculty would print those out to help them identify the students in their courses. because it had the images and the names. And now it's these teeny tiny little things that are basically useless. So I know that there was some beta testing that was happening, but I feel like we're still beta testing. There's still changes that are being made. So we're all doing a grand beta test in a sense. But I talked to one of the people who was doing beta testing for the advisors, and she said the problem is that she had very little time to go in and play in the sandbox because she had to do her job. So it's very hard to make sure that you're capturing those things. And so I can see the incremental changes being made as an improvement. But right now, my tasks that I have are being assigned by somebody else. I don't know how those things ended up underneath my tasks. I don't know how to put my stuff underneath there. I don't know how to get the things that I need to see for different categories. Because when somebody complained we had to go 4 different clicks to get to something, well, that's actually not a bad thing because it helps you narrow down the category. There is no organization right now. Like I said, it's just this big table with stuff on it. So and we need the opportunity to be able to organize those tiles if we keep them and organize them in some kind of way that makes sense by roles or however. So I can click on one thing and bring up those instead of having to sort through 50 different tiles to get what I need to. And I don't even know what the names are because you have to go in and you can type in to find the tile or you can read through all of them. But what I call them and what you call them may be 2 different things. So it's even hard to find. So I'm trying to like in my mind rebuild what I had before, trying to remember what was it that I had access to because there's things that I go into that I only have to approve like twice a year that I have forgotten now where to find those things. I will limit myself.
Juan, perhaps
Yes, sir.
one thing you can do, I suspect people are going to have lots of very specific technical questions they have issues with. Can you tell us where we should all go with these types of specific questions that your staff will look and address?
We have 2. You can go to howdy@tamu.edu. I'll send an email. It gets directed to Stephen's team to get that. But we also have that feedback at the bottom of the screen that you can enter information for specific items as we move forward. And to Dr. Price's concern, it could be a continual modification of the system as the change occurs. That's one of the questions we had for the beta process for a year, so we could basically understand exactly what the needs and the issues were going forward as an organization. Because we understood from a student's viewpoint what they wanted to see and what the faculty wanted to see, and then what the administrators want to see on the back end. There's 3 different viewpoints from an organization. It's the old adage is, what is an elephant? And it's a hard thing. I'm not going to lie. It's a hard thing to make sure that we make it available for everybody on their use case. But those are the mechanisms. If you send it to howdy@tamu.edu, we'll start working on that. But I also invite individuals to be part of those discussions and committees so they can give us their insights. Dr. Katz was kind enough to basically work with Stephen before the meeting on certain issues that she was saying. Yes.
Speaker Klein, can I speak?
Yes. Senator Rao is next.
All right, thank you. Asha Rao from College of Arts and Science. So I'm not going to say too much because Senator Price actually brought up all the issues that I had. But one of the things I would say is right now with that hodgepodge, the simplest thing, at least I would have expected in those cards, especially as soon as you get into howdy.tamu.edu, if there was at least sorted alphabetically, right? We can at least go through and see, okay, what could this be? What could this be? But right now it's so many cards there that it's really hard to find, even if you sort it by role. So that was one of the simplest thing. And for your question about how to include faculty, yes, you should have done it right from the beginning. But now I was thinking, if you can reach out to each college or the department head and ask them, can you send somebody who is interested in these kinds of stuff? And can you nominate someone? And that's what our College of Arts and Science is really doing a very good job of. Every time we have a committee, they usually send out an email to the department head and say, do you have a faculty who can be a part of this committee from your department? So that kind of helps. And the department head usually brings it up in the faculty meeting. And then any interested faculty can probably sign up. And then the faculty, once they are part of the committee, they are very good at keeping the department informed as to what's going on. So maybe that's one way to do it, instead of just expecting faculty to just show up, or anybody who gives a feedback. Maybe that's a weird way of doing it. So the departments head also know that who are the representatives and who are the ones going ahead, so that they can ask them to come back and report to the entire faculty. So, but all of the other concerns that Senator Price brought up, I think those were my concerns as well. So I'm not going to repeat those. Thank you.
And thank you for your feedback. This actually helps us make the product better for you.
I believe Senator Haney has his hand raised next.
Yes, Adam Haney, Marine Sciences and Maritime Studies. I have kind of two questions about the interface. One is that what went live or came out over the summer was totally different than the new Howdy that was supposed to be rolled out and replace Legacy Howdy in the spring. So when I came to set up my summer courses, for example, one of the first things I ran into was I couldn't upload my syllabus because new Howdy did not have that capability. It's since been fixed and added. But my question is, why is the Howdy we are seeing, the new Howdy we're seeing now, not look anything like the test or Howdy that was put out as the new Howdy during the spring? Why doesn't it look anything like that? And we keep talking about new formats and reorganizing. Why can't we use some of those same formats for similar functions? Like former Speaker Price was talking about, why can't we have some kind of flow and organization that mimics Legacy Howdy? Thank you.
So I'm not sure I'm quite understanding about how Howdy was different in the spring.
So when we logged on to Howdy, it would give us the new Howdy, and that looked different than what we have now.
Oh, that landing page. Yes. So
yeah, it looked completely different to what we had
Yes.
we had been trying to acclimatize faculty to over the spring.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, that is the change. So for about a year, that landing page had two changes. The buttons swapped. So one of the buttons took you to the old Howdy, the other button took you to the new Howdy. At one point, we switched those buttons so the new Howdy was on top and the old Howdy was on the bottom. As of May 17th, that's when the old Howdy was no longer the default. So now the new Howdy is the default. So whereas before users had to select, I think it was a white color and button with a maroon background to get to the new Howdy, that's what comes up automatically now. So that landing page is no longer part of it. And that was part of what the working group said would help them. Instead of going to a landing page every single time and seeing basically nothing that they could use, they wanted to go to a page where if they wanted to access bus routes or things like that, they were able to from the landing page itself. So that's why when you get to that new Howdy page where the cards are, there's a login button on the upper right, and that's where you log in. So there's a lot of public cards that are available.
Senator Burge has his hand raised next.
Thank you, Speaker Klein. Mark Burge, School of Law. One function that used to be fairly easy on old Howdy was finding a complete schedule that for, like, say, for a department or anywhere in the university, really, that had the current enrollment numbers. You couldn't access other people's rosters, but I could see comprehensively if there's a cohort of courses, they're all, here's how many are there, here's how many spaces are available, kind of just a master list. All of the cards on the new Howdy related to schedule seem to keep, like, there's for student scheduling, well, I can't access that because I'm not a student and I'm not looking for just my own rosters. I want to see something broader than that. And the only way I've been able to find that is going back to Old Howdy. So I'm really afraid that once Old Howdy's disabled, I won't be able to see, say, among multiple sections, how many students are in each section, you know, because how we've divided up the cohort or what the enrollment is or when various courses are meeting, because it's helpful to sometimes see what's going on in my college apart from my own section. It doesn't.
Yeah, so if you're
I don't
talking
see
about
that
It doesn't
access
filter
to-
based on your role.
so on,
As a faculty member, I'd like to be able to see the enrollment total across the board and all the sections that are set and when
Sure.
they're met. That there seems to be no card that reaches that information, although it's easy to get to it on Old Howdy.
yeah, there should be so the class search hasn't changed from Old Howdy to New Howdy, but the way it's accessed is different. It's by way of a card instead of an Old Howdy icon. So from that card, there should be a class search admin card. I mean, if you're logged in to the New Howdy, there should be, I think it says like class search admin perhaps. And if you click on that, that should take you to the original class search.
So when you say class search admin, would any faculty member be able to use that, or is that limited to?
Yeah, if they have the
social
correct,
teams?
if they have the correct role to access it, yes. But if you used to be able to get to it in the Old Howdy, you can surely get to it in the new one.
Okay, and that's my concern, is that there doesn't seem to be any role that's letting me in just to see that basic information. Maybe I'm not doing a good job of finding it, but that's my problem, and I really would hate losing that information.
Yeah, well, I have to check. Has anyone else here used the class search admin?
Yes, it is there, and you just have to search very hard to get it on your favorites because it's not a default for faculty, and it should be a lot higher up.
It's a class search admin view. I recommend when you first go into the New Howdy, you take the time to go through all of the cards to favorite, but click the little heart, all the ones that you
And
want.
that's what I did.
Can I do a demo?
Keep going.
I mean, can I do a demo?
Yes, the demo will help a number of people. Let's please do a demo. I think this one, a lot of faculty actually do use.
Okay, he's going to log in and do a quick demo.
And advisors for sure.
While he's setting a demo, is he ready to go? Or Daniel Jimenez has his hand raised next. Maybe he could ask a question while we're getting our demo set up.
Oh,
Yeah, so I can just say
He's
my-
setting it up. Go ahead.
Should I go or no?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so something that Tracy brought up in the chat is just that, we have this organization, Texas A&M, that has world-class experts in human-computer interface design in the computer science and the Viz departments. For example, Tracy. She's very well known to the Senate, and she's one of the top people in the world on human-computer interaction. You could have spent a little time talking with her or with somebody in one of these departments about the ideas, in addition to some group of students. And it's not just y'all, but in general, Texas A&M has a problem not using the expertise that you have on the faculty when doing some big initiative. Not just not talking to the faculty, but not talking to the experts on the faculty who could really help. So maybe you run it by the experts explicitly. The experts, the people that are good at this stuff, and say, hey, does this make sense to you? Do you have any advice for us? So that is, I think that could have been done, and and it's too bad it wasn't.
But we would still welcome that.
Yeah. Well, now, right? But you deployed this thing, right? And everybody hates it. But okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's maybe too strong. I don't actually hate it. I found it useful, but you got a lot of complaints.
Thank you.
Juan, are we ready to go on the demo yet?
I think Dr. Price has a question.
Oh,
You ready?
Yes, he's working on the sharing right now. I think we're sharing, but she can ask her a question. Yes.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm sure the demo will be helpful for this specific topic, but I don't know how many faculty it will necessarily reach. So it might be beneficial to make some little videos that you can put out there to show these types of things, recording it, that kind of stuff. But I think there's a bigger picture is that there's things like, can we create categories that might suggest if you're a faculty member, here's the things you would typically need access to that replicated what we had in the previous interface. And then maybe people can edit that, but it would make things significantly faster for all of our faculty and staff and everybody who has those different roles. If you can say, here's the kind of stuff you used to have, and then they can pull in and out, and then again, make it easier to even find those topics. Thank you.
Right. So that is one of the things that we have here. So I'm not logged in yet, but this is what I was saying about the public page. So these items you can click on, like the bus routes down there. But I'm going to log in because I want to show you what I'm able to see as an admin. So underneath that search box, there is a categories field. So in the categories,
We lost your screen.
Yes, that's true. It's going to come back.
I think while the screen's coming up, there were some comments earlier. It seems we have to log into this one more than we had to log in to the other one, the old one. That was a concern I've heard.
That timeout, that was some of the feedback that we had heard. I want to say it was a month ago, and that was changed. So there were discussions with folks at different levels of the organization, and we were able to up that amount of time for the timeout. Okay, so I'm logged in, and underneath the search bar, you can click on this all, or this roles all, or this change. They do the same thing. So this is basically a filter for what you want to see if you have a faculty role. Click apply filter, and then it shows you the cards, and you can scroll and you can favorite from here. And there is a bit of help available. There is a help video. And there are some text instructions with how this can be done as well. Now, I will say this categories and roles feature has probably been there a whopping 2 weeks. So it is relatively new. What's also new is the favorites. So instead of worrying about what tab or what menu item you're on, what section you're in, you can click on favorites, and then you can see all of your favorites in a scrollable list. Okay, so.
Yeah. So one of the things I think the question we could actually answer the best right now is the class admin view. If you could show that, maybe that will be the best thing. Then we can wrap the demo up.
Okay. Class search admin view. I typed in class search like you would on Google. I click on class search and it takes us to the original class search. So if you want to do a filter, you would come down to one of these boxes and depends what you would like to filter on.
So I think most of our faculty are familiar with this at this point, right? We've seen the class search for a while. I think people are just not aware how to find the admin view.
Right. So it's, the first time type in class search, and then when you see admin view, you could just click or unclick this heart, this favorite, and then it'll take it out of your favorite so it won't display in this section, in the favorite section.
Mark, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. And I think it kind of goes back to the point of some of the cards were so low down. I never actually knew there was one called that. Now that I know it, oh, this is easy. So, but I didn't know. So thank you very much. I don't know if this was useful for anyone else, but it sure helped me a lot.
I think it was something a lot of people didn't know about. So thank you for the demo. So why don't we ask a few more questions and probably should move on to some other things. Raimundo, you have your hand up.
Yes, I mean, this is related to the whole interface. And, one of the reasons why, the audience to test the new interface was probably not ideal is the fact that there are other things than Howdy beyond the roster that we faculty need desperately access to. And right now, for example, if I want to go to the ARCS system to approve degree plans or grade final exams for PhDs and so on, I get to it through a random walk. I Google and then I click buttons until I find ARCS. And this keeps happening over and over again. And I'm, I don't want to say I have a PhD and therefore, but I have a PhD and I cannot figure out for the life of me how to get to ARCS in 1 or 2 clicks. It's just impossible, right? And, it is really frustrating. Yes, Tracy. So basically everybody has a hack to get to ARCS. But, this is one of the most important things that we faculty, have to have access to, right? And it seems to me that it's kind of like an afterthought. And again, this is just one example of a key function of Howdy that was completely overlooked by the design of the new, interface, which is completely, it's not really good. This is not a properly designed user interface. I'm really sorry to say it, but it is really frustrating, to say the least, to work with the system.
Thank you, Raimundo. Are there any other questions? I don't see any other hands raised anybody else in the room, James? Okay, so thank you, Juan, for taking some of our questions. So I know in the chat, some people were saying that only the senators see this. You can send your faculty to watch the Senate video. Mm-hmm. And part of our job as senators is actually to reach out to our faculty and our constituents. So I would recommend that the caucus leaders send out the information that Juan described and how to get their comments to them as well. So part of our role is to be this interface to the rest of the faculty. So please let your faculty know that Juan and his staff, who thank you for coming, are more than happy to address their concerns as well.
That's correct. We want to make sure that when August shows up, we're able to handle the load of the individuals. We may reach out to some of you on that specific idea of the how-tos for faculty, so we can have something available. We're going to be, and Steven's team is going to be on call for the month of August as the faculty come back with a new interface that they may or may not have logged in. We're cognizant of that approach. The whole month, basically, they're going to be handling those type of processes. But I want to thank you for allowing us to come in here. And I also want to thank you for your feedback, because that's the only way we can make this product better for you. Thank you.
So now on to approval of the minutes. We will now move to approve the minutes. Are there any corrections to the May 12th, 2025 minutes found in attachment A? Hearing none, I declare the minutes approved as distributed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or concerns on the June 9th consent agenda items? Wow, this is fast. Hearing no questions or concerns, I declare the consent agenda approved as presented. So I believe there's no unfinished business. So we will now move on to committee reports.
Hold on, there was something in the chat.
So it was, we already approved them. I'm sorry. So in the chat, Francesca, what is your question? Can you talk, or are you just on Zoom? Or not?
I can't really talk. I was wondering if you consulted with the dance faculty in the College of Performance, Visualization, and Fine Arts.
Well, we did not, but we didn't hear any concern. So is there a concern with this?
We had 10 seconds or less to address concerns.
Yeah. So no, we had not. And we've already approved the consent agenda. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
But again, for those of you who aren't familiar with the approval process, so presumably we assume you're coming out of your college, and then it goes to the UCC. So if we heard any concerns, we would have already raised them.
Speaker Klein?
Yes.
I think that she is bringing up a concern not on the consent agenda, but on the committee reports.
On the committee report. So, I apologize for that.
Well, yeah. So I think that when you ask for people to express concerns or questions on the committee reports, that's when that would likely have come up.
Okay. Sorry about that, Francesca. I have a very small screen here in Ithaca, so I didn't see it all going on. So do you have a concern on the committee reports? Okay, so what is your concern on the core curriculum committee report?
Yes, I was just wondering if that course that talks about dance was run by my colleagues in dance in the College of Performance, Visualization, and Fine Arts. I assume it must have gone to our college at some point, because I know we consult when there is possible duplication. I was just curious about if it went through to our
yeah. So let me.
If you went to our dance faculty or not.
Yeah. So Tammy, the chair of the co-chair of the Core Curriculum Council, will answer your question.
So on that particular class, it has been in the core curriculum since 2015. So it's not a new request. It's not something that's new that's gone through. It has been part of Texas A&M for 10 years now. So the recertification part hasn't specifically gone through because it's not a new approval.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other concerns on the committee report? Okay, hearing none, and I apologize for not seeing that chat earlier. I declare the core curriculum committee report approved as submitted. We have a number of items of new business on our agenda. So I will now call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D1.
I move approval of attachment D1, student rule 7.2.2.10, attendance.
Are there any concerns?
What is that? Can someone give a brief summary of what this is about?
It lets you have an excused absence for a stem cell donation.
Oh. I didn't hear the stem part. Sorry about that.
So all of them are attachments. You can read them. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye or indicate. Danny, was that a question? I guess we're voting now. Okay, all in favor.
I was raising my hand, sorry.
So someone in the room, does it appear we have, what's the vote look like?
Oh, everybody in the room has voted yes. Approval.
Okay. All opposed, please raise your hands. It appears the motion passes. I now call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D2.
I move approval of attachment D2, student rule 8.3, examinations.
Are there any questions or discussion on student rule 8.3? Doesn't appear there is any discussion on Rule 8.3. So all in favor, please say aye or raise your hands.
Speaker Klein, we have all acceptances in the room, all hands raised.
Okay. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hands. It appears that motion or student rule 8.3 attachment D2 has passed. I now call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D3.
I move approval of attachment D3, student rule 11, distinguished students.
Is there any discussion on this rule? Anything in the room on this one?
Nothing in the room.
Okay. Then all in favor, please raise your hand.
Speaker Klein, we have all hands raised in the room.
Okay. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. It appears that attachment D3, distinguished students, passes. And Asha, you can let your student know. I now call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D4.
I move approval of attachment D4, student rule 24.4.25, stalking.
Are there some hand raised on this one? Okay. So it appears so Senator Kolozinski has his hand raised. Go ahead, Senator
Yes,
Kolodziejski.
thank you. So I have two concerns about this rule. So if I go to the attachment, when it defines stalking, the first bullet point says unwanted or repeated communication, including emails, text messages, etc. If a person wants to contact someone else and the person is not going to know whether it is unwanted to communicate with that person or not. So I would prefer if that first bullet point said repeated unwanted communication. Right. So if I don't want a student to be disciplined for sending an email to somebody else in a class that he doesn't know, and then the student's going to accuse him of stalking because you sent me an email I didn't want. It's like, well, how could I have known that you didn't want my email? Right. So if you send an email and the person says, please don't contact me again, and then you continue contacting him or her, that I agree is stalking. But again, how can you know it's unwanted if it's the first time? Also, the same thing with the unwanted gifts, right? I mean, if you want to be nice to someone, you give them a gift, they might not want it. How can you know? So I would, again, want to put repeated unwanted gifts, letters, or unsolicited materials in that as well. Thank you.
Senator Klein, we have former Senator or Speaker Price at the mic.
Former Speaker Price, do you wish to address this?
Yes, please. I'm also a member of the Rules and Regulations Committee. So there was a great deal of discussion about this because it was actually some verbiage that was in the rule previously and wanted to have added back. But I would like to request that Dr. Bell be recognized so that he can address this from the reason why they had this in there. Thank you. If that's okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I understand the piece about for a first email if it's unwanted, but if a student reports it to us, then we have to take into account that the reason why they're reporting to us is because it is unwanted, whether it's and the repeated nature of that communication. So we also said by it says the conduct that is means of one or two acts is also a part of the rule verbiage as well. So, two or more acts, I'm sorry. So some of that verbiage was updated as a part of that rule as well.
And I would like to add that, this would require an investigation, obviously, but even one email, we don't know if it was preceded by multiple verbal requests not to contact that person. Please don't send me email. Don't talk to me. Please, you're bugging me kind of thing. We don't know that. And I think that's important, but it also has the clarifying language on there, a reasonable person to feel intimidated, things like that.
Do you need your bun toasted? Huh? In there. Okay.
Okay. So where is this language? Because if I don't.
It's on the agenda. If you click the attachment, it has the information.
Yeah, I know. I see the attachment, but it doesn't say anything about two or more.
Deadline.
I don't see anything about reasonable person. I don't see.
It's in the course. It's in the course of conduct definition.
Well, I'm looking at the attachment that we're voting on. I don't see it anywhere there.
It's the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I see. Thank you. The term. Okay. Okay. That addresses my concerns. Thank you.
So are any more concerns or questions on attachment D4? Seeing none. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hands.
All hands are raised in the room.
Okay. All opposed, say nay or raise your hands. Attachment D4 Student Rule 24.4.25 stalking passes. I now call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D5.
I move approval of attachment D5, Student Rule 24.5, bias-related violations.
Are there any questions or concerns on this item? Farzan, is your hand still raised, or is that from the question?
Sorry.
No problem.
Can you give an explanation of it?
Just one second. Heather will explain the rule.
So basically what happened was it came to rules and regs that they wanted to completely strike this rule because this is not a rule that would be governed by the same body that governs normal student rules. This is instead something that would be governed by the Title IX office. And so the original suggestion was to strike the rule entirely. And I felt like that really, really did not look good right now in this particular time in the current climate. So a suggestion was made to keep the rule as is and just add a clarifying statement that the normal group that would take care of student rule violations would not be the group handling a violation of this particular rule, that instead it would be the Civil Rights Office.
Okay, so Title IX, Civil Rights Office. That's good. Okay.
Are there any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
All hands are raised in the room.
Okay, all opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Attachment D5 passes.
I was slow at lowering my hand, so.
So I now call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D6.
I move approval of attachment D6, Student Rule 57.4.2 and 57.6.3, Undergraduate Academic Appeals Panel.
Any discussion on this item? Anything in the room? Okay. All in favor, please say aye and raise your hands.
Speaker Klein, all hands are raised in the room.
Okay. All opposed, raise your hands. Motion passes. I now call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D7.
I move approval of attachment D7, Student Rule 57.6.1, attendance. Sorry.
What is that?
Oh,
We're on
yes,
D7.
sorry, I apologize. The script, here we go.
We good?
Are we good?
So the title was read incorrectly. So it should be D7, Undergraduate Academic Appeals Panel.
Yes, Undergraduate Academic Appeals Panel. I apologize.
There's a lot of student rules. You don't need to apologize today. I'm having trouble too. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, please say aye and raise your hands.
All hands are raised in the room.
Okay. you could please put your hands down. All opposed, please raise your hand. Senator Klein is telling me I'm going too fast here in the room. It appears that this motion, attachment D7, has been approved. I now call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D8.
I move approval of attachment D8, the SEM School of Engineering Medicine Department creation proposal. And I do believe that we have a visitor here to address any concerns that have driven up if we would like to bring them to the mic.
So why doesn't the person who's here please come to the mic and talk a little bit about this one? Because I think it's important for people to understand our new College of Engineering Medicine a bit.
Thank you very much for your time and attention. As you know, I came several months ago to this body to propose creation of the School of Engineering Medicine. It requires by accreditation approval by the Council of Deans and the Faculty Senate. Another one of our accreditation requirements is the formation of departments to give faculty a home. We created 2 departments, one the InMed Medical Education Department, the other one the InMed Research and Innovation Department. All of our faculty can belong to either department, and it'll fulfill a role around education, the other one around research and innovation, although many faculty, both APT faculty and tenure track faculty, will belong to one or the other depending on where they fit the best. So I bring this a proposal. It's a requirement. We have 12 standards that are required with elements. Element 4 covers the requirement of departments which serve multiple functions within the new school. Yes.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns? And it looks like former Speaker Angie Hill Price has something to say for this one.
Yes, and I would just like to clarify, because the discussion was brought up in the executive committee, that both departments would have APT and tenure track faculty.
That's correct.
Any other discussion? Seeing none? Somebody else?
We just had someone come to the room. Go ahead.
Okay. Senator Tagg.
Yeah, Andy Tagg, College of Arts and Sciences. Can you elaborate a little bit more why there needs to be 2 departments in the program? I mean, for most, I just kind of went through the proposal. Right. And for most departments, research and teaching is together.
Right.
And this seems like it's not.
We have 2 degrees, and one is in a medical degree. The other is a master in engineering. And we're hiring more tenure track faculty and some APT faculty. And depending on, they're heavily into research, and they may teach some, they may even teach graduate level courses. They're not as involved in the day-to-day medical education piece. And so we wanted to give them a more formal home in research. We also do innovation. We have people who teach intellectual property, entrepreneurship, starting a company, and while they teach for sure, their emphasis is in a different direction than standard medical school education. So we're trying to create a home for each, although we see a lot of crosstalk. It's just we felt like that their time and attention would be better affiliated in one around research and innovation as opposed to, say, curriculum itself around a medical school curriculum. And that's why, just to create more of a sense of a faculty home. There was no other reason other than when we polled, and we've had this approved by our own faculty, all faculty, and they agreed that this design best fit their needs. And that's why we brought it forth.
Any other questions? So no more discussion. So all in favor, please say aye and raise your hands.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands raised in the room.
And looks like 34 raised or 35 raised online. All opposed, please put your hands down. Good job, folks. All opposed, please raise your hands. Motion passes. So now I call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D9.
I move approval of attachment D9, summer 2025 degree candidate count.
And just if you're aware, this is just for the Cutter campus. We'll be dealing with main campuses and others next month. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hands.
All hands are raised in the room.
Okay, it looks like there's quite a few online raised, so please lower your hands. Senator Cahill, are you opposed? Thank you. All opposed, please raise your hands. The motion passes, and our Cutter graduates will graduate later this month. So that brings us to the end of our business items. There are two important informational items, and I'm going to have to scroll for a second. So the first is this body usually gives I apologize, just one second. This body typically gives 3 awards on an annual basis. The first award is the Aggie Spirit Award. And this is an award that's given annually to students who have overcome extraordinary circumstances to achieve academic success, and it embodies the Aggie spirit. This award is actually one that we as senators fund, and it is our practice to collect donations. We actually have, thanks to former Speaker Price, I believe, we have a account at the A&M Foundation, which we can donate money to. And we will be sending out calls for nominations for this later this week. We also have 2 other awards, and they're both for senators. The first is the Richard Stadelman Faculty Senate Service Award. This award recognizes Richard Stadelman's nearly continuous service as either a senator or for many years our Senate parliamentarian. It is awarded annually to a first-term senator who has displayed an uncommon devotion to the mission of the Senate. Our second Senate award is the Walter Doherty Service Award, and it was given for Walter's long-term service on CBAC. Many of you may remember his long, lengthy addresses about what's going on CBAC. And Senator Doherty was also the first APT faculty member to be elected as speaker. So that was the other award. That's the other reason we are recognizing him. This award is awarded annually to any member of the Faculty Senate who has displayed an uncommon, oh, gee whiz, now my screen's stuck. Devotion probably to the Senate, devotion to the mission of the Senate. So we give those 2 senators awards out. And again, we are going to call for nominations. These nominations will be due the day after our next Senate meeting. So everybody will have a month to make the nominations. typically what happens is, especially for the Aggie Spirit Award, the nominations, I believe, have to be by a senator, or come through the Senate, but often someone will bring them to you. So when we send them out, I will encourage you to reach out to all your faculty to get nominees for the Aggie Spirit Award. And the idea is that we will recognize them in our August meeting, hopefully, if they can come. So the last item on the agenda for informational item is the code of conduct. I believe that's the last one, right, Senator Klein? So again, as I stated in my speaker remarks, I think it is really important that we as a Senate vote on the code of conduct while we're all elected. So the plan moving forward, and I don't believe Senator Rice is joining us today because he is also on vacation. So we have posted the existing version of the code of conduct. I know Senator Rice has reached out to some other senators as well. But if you have any concerns, comments, etc., please give them to Senator Rice as soon as you can. What we will do is, the plan is to take the code of conduct, make these changes, run it by both the original committee that put it together as well as the Academic Freedom Council to get additional feedback, and then we will vote on this item hopefully next month. So that is the current plan. I know we've had this on our agenda for a long time, but again, I think it is something that we must, or we should, close out, so to speak, while we're still in existence as an elected body. Senator Kolozinski.
Yes, will we next time have an opportunity to propose amendments and vote on them?
So I would suggest right now that you propose your changes, and hopefully those changes will be looked at and potentially added.
Well, I did propose some changes, and at least one of them was not addressed. So if it's not addressed by next time, will I be able to propose an amendment before the Senate?
Yes, that's how our process works.
Okay, that's
But
good.
I would encourage you to reach out to Senator Rice as well.
I will. Are we planning on discussing it now, or is this just?
Well, if you want, if you wish to discuss what your thing is, that's fine.
Okay. Do you want me to do it now, or should I wait until a more opportune moment?
I think it is your choice. I believe this is really important. So if we want to take a few minutes, we can discuss it.
Okay. So I like it in general. My only qualm is with example N. So there's a list of examples of what's considered unprofessional conduct, and this is point N. Pervasive or egregious derogatory or denigrating comments about other disciplines, schools of thought, paradigms, or scientific methods, particularly when such comments are intended to affect others' working conditions or academic freedom. There are some schools of thoughts and paradigms that are patently absurd and don't belong in the academy, and I think it's reasonable for faculty members to criticize them. And the word denigration or derogatory is quite vague, and I've seen people who criticize in an objective and scholarly way get accused of making derogatory or denigrating comments. So, for example, I think it's perfectly reasonable for someone to criticize creation science, or somebody to criticize Marxist economics, which has been pretty much, I mean, the data and the theory. It's not, no serious economist takes Marx's economics seriously anymore. And so if I want to go criticize Marxian economics or creation science, I should be able to, and I don't want to get accused of making a derogatory or denigrating comment about another school of thought. And I think, furthermore, I don't really see why we should be protecting schools of thoughts or disciplines from derogatory or denigrating comments. I mean, we should be protecting people, not protecting ideas. We should be able to say or do whatever we want about paradigms, schools of thoughts, scientific methods, ideas. People, yes, I agree. We shouldn't we should discourage or even punish
personal attacks and insults and such things and abusive behavior. But for schools of thought, ideas, I don't see why. And I don't see any upside to having this example in there. I only see downside. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. I'm sure it will get to the committee now. Any other discussion on this item today? Senator Haney.
Yeah, I just wanted to let the Senate know that the majority of the Galveston campus met with Senator Rice and had a very productive conversation about addressing some of our big concerns with it. Hopefully those will be met and included, as Speaker Klein alluded to, like the inclusion of the preamble and some other little changes that weren't in the attachment to the agenda, but hopefully will be when we meet in July. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Haney. So I appreciate people's continuing thinking about this, because I think it's something that is important for our Senate. Senator Falvo.
Thank you for recognizing me. I'll be super brief. I just want to add my support for what Senator Kolozinski has said. I agree that it is an unnecessary qualification in there, and that we need, in the environment that we're in, we need to maintain the ability to be critical about ways of thinking. Again, not about people, that seems fair, but about ways of thinking and about methods, that seems very reasonable, that should not be in the code in that way.
I agree.
Thank you, Senator Falvo. Anything else? Anybody else in the room wish to make a comment? I don't see any hands online.
We do have someone heading to the mic.
Okay, thank you. Senator Asha.
Thank you. I had a question about, it says lack of transparency in academic, budgetary, or administrative decisions without proper justification. What is proper? I mean, the administrators think that probably if they are justifying something, it could be proper for them. Maybe it's not proper for us. It's not really clear. And I'm not sure that is it lack of transparency in every single budgetary decision that's being made, or academic decision is being made, or day-to-day things, or is it just some really important things? So it's a little bit confusing. And if I go and ask my department head for every single penny he spends, I don't think it's going to go very well. So I'm just thinking about it in that term. So I think it needs to be clarified a little bit.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Senator Rao. Anyone else? Senator Kolozinski has his hand raised again.
Well, I would just like to say that in our department, the department head maintains a spreadsheet where you can actually see every penny that the department spends and how, and they're always happy to let faculty to see it. So I'm a big fan of transparency, and I agree that
our department does the same thing.
Yeah, so I think it's good to have budgetary transparency, and I do agree that that proper justification, if that phrase is going to be in there, it should be qualified or at least made more specific, because that's too vague now. Thank you.
Thank you for both of your comments. I would say, like everything at A&M, many departments do not have that level of transparency. We're all over there and how much faculty see about budgets. So maybe you guys are best practices. Any other comments? If not, I now invite Speaker-elect Howell to take us into Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Speaker Klein. Does anyone have any discussion for the Committee of the Whole? Senator Laporte.
Hi, and greetings from Nova Scotia. I'm actually off the clock, but I realized there was a conversation about the Howdy portal, and I wanted to weigh in on it and provide a little bit of middle ground to the argument. Back in April 26th of 2023, or before then, I was asked to join the reskinning committee, the Howdy reskinning committee, with Katie Stoddard, and Julie Harlan. We were the 3 faculty representatives. We did meet one time in April, and following that meeting in April, on the 26th of April, I sent a note to Dr. Garza about some concerns I had about the reskinning committee. And I'm not going to detail them all here for you. It was over a 1-page email listing out, bulleting out the concerns they had with the committee, and the fact that didn't appear to be an apparent charge for the committee, and that some of the people on the committee looked like they were suffering with a Concord complex or the curse of knowledge and not really understanding what it was like to be a novice user anymore. There was no clear reporting lines on the committee. They were very defensive about suggestions and comments for change, and that I said at the time that the Howdy was not very user-friendly, and that the page had a lot of noise and distractions and lots of duplications. There was a lot of links that people didn't need, blah, blah, blah. And basically, we needed to set up a criteria for what it was and what it was not. The following month, I was invited back, or 2 months following that, in June of 23, I was invited back to a presentation about the portal. And at that time, I was actually quite impressed with the work that they had achieved. They had created a card system. There was still a lot of problems with the card system, but they seemed to be heading in the right direction. And in the email that I sent to the team in June of 2023, I actually said to them, you're heading in the right direction, but you're going to have to, watch some of the unauthenticated links, look for more cards that were faculty centric, and that marketing and communication of the change would be a major hurdle. Not long after that, I'll try and keep this as brief as I can, but not long after that, the system went into beta testing. And this is where I think that I want to bring a bit more balanced approach. I'm looking at every faculty among me now on the meeting and ask you this one question. Every time you went into Howdy from about the middle of June 2023 onwards and had the opportunity to click on try the new beta model or do the old model, which what thing did you click on? Did you try the beta model, or did you go to the old model? There was a few of us that went to the beta model, and we continued to send feedback to the Howdy reskinning committee during that time. I know, for example, Dave Bapp sent an extremely long email to the beta, and I can see a few of you sent comments. Well, every time I send comments to the people doing the beta, they actually address those problems and changed it and made it better. They produced the class roster card, they produced the Orca card, they produced the ARCS card, they produced multiple other things. So I think it's a bit unfair of us to come after the game and say, when we didn't really try the beta model ourselves during the beta testing period. So I think there was problems on both sides. I'm trying to be more balanced with my response here. It wasn't a fun team to be on initially, but I think they started to get it right in the end, and that I do think that faculty deserve some responsibility in this for not doing the beta testing. I mean, as Tracy said, she found the ARCS card and was able to install it. So I just wanted to put that out there, that it's not all on IT. There was a lack of communication regarding the product, but I'd like us to take a more balanced and reserved response to this problem. That's all.
Thank you, Senator Laporte. Former Speaker Hill Price.
So my concern about the change to the Howdy and everything else was that I would have hoped that if we're going to replace a system, that we would start off with the beta testing of the functionality that we already had, and that we would be then editing that further. But I think the concern that I had was, again, like you said, communication, that it wasn't, I guess we really needed to know that we were the beta testers and we really needed to get in there because, and I've provided feedback and I've gotten responses very quickly. But I know that there's still plans to make improvements and changes to it. It's just that it would have been really nice if the functionality that we had to start with was the starting point, and that we did improvements above that, rather than trying to there was so much of a rethink that we didn't even get back to functionality yet for some of us. So that was my concern. Thank you.
Senator Laporte.
It was very clear to us when we started on this project with the 3 faculty members and the registrar's office and the students and everything, that our Howdy portal was nowhere near what it needed to be, and it had a lot of redundancy. You needed to click 3 and 4 times to find certain things. We all knew how to navigate it for sure, but it still had issues. And at that point in time, the reskinning committee decided to embark on a complete redesign of it rather than trying to fix what was already broken. It was, if we went out and looked at like 3 or 4 different universities, different Howdy, the equivalent of their Howdy portal, and they were nothing like ours. They were much more streamlined, and that's what the IT folk were trying to do. Now, what they produced was not as great initially as we wanted it to be, but with your input and everyone's feedback, it can get there. I think if we had have tried to change the system the way it was before, you know, like just fix the old system and make it the way that it would have been putting good money after bad, basically. What is it called? Adam, you should be able to help me, or in economics, it's called the Concord effect or whatever it is. Yeah.
Maybe the sunk cost fallacy, is that what
Yes, the sunk cost bias, yes.
All right, thank you, Senator Laporte. Are there any other comments for the committee of the whole? Seeing and hearing none, I now return the meeting to Speaker Klein.
Thank you, Speaker-elect Howell. I will just say one thing before we end. I'm going to echo the words of our president when he said we should all take some time off this summer and recuperate, et cetera. So I hope everyone is going to join Senator Laporte and myself, not being in town and maybe being on vacation. So
you're welcome to come up here, guys. I have this beautiful property on a lake and the weather's cool.
Well, and when we adjourn, Speaker Klein and myself are going to go downstairs and enjoy lovely Ithaca, New York. So again, I hope everyone will take some time off this summer seriously, because I know it's been a difficult time the last few months for faculty. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, please rise or wave goodbye. Take care, everyone.